Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Muriel Bowser, and we are here in beautiful Ward 5 for our monthly Safety and Community Walk. I am very happy to be joined by Councilmember Kenyon McDuffie, Police Chief Peter Newsham, and members of our public safety team, as well as many members of my cabinet and administration. We go out in all 8 wards across the District of Columbia to talk about how government services can be brought to bear in the community to make it safer and stronger. Today, we are also announcing an increased investment in police cameras. What we have seen over the last many months is what cameras can do when and if there is a crime in a neighborhood, how that footage can be used by police and police detectives to solve crimes and bring perpetrators to justice. We also know that these cameras can have a deterrent effect as well. We have, and the chief will talk about this momentarily, a number of fixed MPD cameras throughout the District of Columbia. Today, I'm announcing an investment to increase those cameras. They will allow us in public spaces to put police cameras. The police Chief will talk about the improved technology we expect to be able to procure with the new cameras as well. And we are going to identify public spaces on housing authority property to also install new cameras and new lighting. This will be a significant investment of up to $5 million. The initial tranche of cameras we expect MPD to begin able to install within the next week. We regard this as one tool, another tool in our toolbox for fighting crime and making neighborhoods safer across the District of Columbia. The initial installations will begin in our fall crime initiative areas, and I will be communicating with the Council of the District of Columbia as well to help us identify locations beginning in January for additional installations. So with that, I want to turn to the Chief, and then we will be available to answer your questions.
All right, thank you very much, Mayor Bowser. Good afternoon. I'm Pete Newsham. I'm the Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department. As you just heard from the mayor, we feel very strongly that this community investment in the expansion of our CCTV camera program will have a positive impact on public safety. In 2000, as you may remember, we initially deployed CCTV cameras in the downtown area to monitor large-scale events such as parades and marches, or during periods of heightened alert, or to deal with potential terrorism in our city. In 2006, MPD began to deploy CCTV cameras in district neighborhoods as a means to deter and investigate criminal activity. Since then, we have expanded the number of cameras across the city. MPD currently has 205 CCTV cameras. We have 184 at fixed locations, and we have 21 mobile cameras. The use of camera technology plays a vital role in deterring and solving crimes, including some of our most violent offenses. I personally believe it's one of the advances in technology that has been most significant in helping law enforcement. As an example, MPD detectives have obtained video footage in 83% of the 2018 homicide investigations from last year. That's 132 out of the 160 cases. When video footage was available, it contributed to advancing the investigation in more than 70% of those cases, and it has contributed to closing approximately 40% of those cases. The expansion of our CCTV cameras will be impactful, and again, I can't thank the mayor enough for this commitment to public safety. The locations for the camera deployments was determined through an evaluation of violent crime, shot spotter detections, and input from our 7 district commanders. As many as 140 new cameras, such as the one that you can see behind me, will be placed around the city, which will expand our CCTV network by 70%. Deployment will begin, as the mayor said, in our fall crime initiative areas in the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th district. The new cameras will provide us with higher resolution images, additional memory space, and if there is a shot spotter detection nearby, it will allow us to automatically shift the view of the camera towards the sound of the gunshots. We believe these enhancements will equate to increased safety. The additional cameras in these locations identified as high crime areas in our district and in and around our housing authority properties will provide us with the technology and the resources we need to keep residents safe and, more importantly, bring those who violently offend to justice. As the mayor also mentioned, citizens can be equally as helpful by participating in the mayor's camera incentive rebate program. This program has been exceedingly successful with the deployment of over 16,000 cameras across our city. With that being said, we can take any questions that you all might have.
Press first.
What would you say to the people who are concerned about their privacy when there are too many cameras? What would you say to the people who are concerned about their privacy when they say there are way too many cameras in some cases?
You know, I think that nowadays in the District of Columbia, there's very few places that aren't captured by some form of a camera, either privately owned or publicly owned. I can tell you from a law enforcement perspective, particularly in our areas that have high violent crime, these cameras have been extremely beneficial in closing cases. So I do think we're not going to dismiss folks' privacy concerns, but I do think we want to educate the public and let them know that these cameras are specifically to deter violent crime in areas that are plagued with violent crime. And in the event we have a violent crime in one of these areas, and history indicates that we may, moving into the future, that it gives the police department another tool to find the people that are responsible.
And let me just add, Chief, that in statute, there is a pretty robust set of requirements about who monitors the CCTV camera, and that's probably about 10 or 11 years old, those rules that were very carefully considered and have been serving us well for over a decade.
Basically means that you can't monitor them live. Wasn't that what it meant?
Chief, the chief will speak to that.
Yeah, so there is a requirement if we're going to live monitor that we have a supervisor at the rank of lieutenant or above involved, and that's to protect privacy and make sure it's for a legitimate purpose.
So you can monitor them live.
We can monitor them live provided we have that level of supervision. Okay. It's 10 days.
That's off topic. But crime.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so Mayor, I don't know that we've asked you about the violence interrupter who was killed last week. Anything you can tell us about that?
I could tell you that the case, the question was about a person participating in the Attorney General's Cure the Streets program, working for a contractor, as we understand it, who was targeted and murdered following a training session. I can tell you that the police are actively investigating, and we need any and all information from people who know anything about that case, who may have been on scene. We believe that there were a number of eyewitnesses to the crime, and we're going to need some help to close that case. It was a brazen, daylight, targeted homicide.
Speculation whether it was connected to the work he was doing?
I can't say that. Anything else, Chief?
All right.
That's all the questions. And there was a community question. There was one here, and then you, sir. First, second. Yes, sir.
So Thank you for my question.
Yes.
I was a victim of a violent beating a week ago Sunday on the MPD trail at the base of the Rhode Island Metro ramp. I was jumped from behind by 4 young males. They think that it's from the Edgewood Commons apartments. Never saw them coming. They beat me to the point I was in neuro ICU.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I appreciate it. I still have a subdural hematoma. It's going to take 3 or 4 weeks for my bleeding to fully absorb. Commander, I really appreciate your detectives coming to visit me in the hospital and Detective Kern phenomenal follow-up. My question is, I'm a retired federal law enforcement, so I know, and I appreciate the cameras, and I know for a lot of times, it is reactive. My question is, what is, besides that, the proactive aspect of that, what is being done within the community proactively with the leaders to, address these kids? I know sometimes they don't have jobs, they don't have role models, but we can't law enforcement away or, to save them.
Sure. So we, and I couldn't agree with you more, that we certainly, our approach is two-pronged to provide people, young people, all people with opportunities, so they're not choosing to be involved in crime. Frequently we know that people are involved in economic crimes to get money. And so we have addressed that through a number of programs that allow them to be trained, allow people to be in subsidized employment, and to get into permanent jobs. One such program we call our Pathways program, which identifies people who are likely to commit crimes or be victims of crimes. We do, and I have charged my team also with specifically addressing our young people, juveniles under 18, in the group of young people who are 18 to 24, who are committing a good part of the violent crime. So we will continue to get out in the streets. You heard one question involving violence interrupters. And so anybody who wants to further talk about how those violence interrupters are meant to do outreach in communities and connect people who need more resources with those resources. You bet. Yes, sir. Okay.
We have a new community center.
Yes, you do.
And we really have problem with parking already. And we tried for many years to try to get residential, particularly for those that live in the area. But it seems to fall through all the time. So I wanted to know who we speak to try to find out more about those community. I live on Third Street.
Okay.
There's a school there, and then we got a community center that's open. So parking really.
Okay, Ward 5 workers. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, everybody. And we're going to commence to get to our walk. Who we have here?